right. I made a couple videos already here, and I apologize for the fan. It's really, really warm in my room. I think the sunlight, which is cloudy out, and just the heat turned on the hottest setting of all time, is coming into this room. So if you hear a little background noise, that's what's going on. Is my fan is on. I wanted to address the class for this class for PE. I've learned with this class, I've taught this class almost every term now online. I taught it a couple times here at the school. And I quickly find out, it just seems like I always get the classes that students dread. Sometimes I'm like, man, I could take that really personal. But math, I was heavily math when I first came. Mainly math classes is what I taught, and students just dread math. And I always try to, in the first part of the class, really break down that, hey, math can be a very helpful tool, and it doesn't have to be scary, especially fractions. We can get into explaining why it is and everything. So I learned the same thing with PE. A lot of students hated PE or dropped PE right away, and so, PE was something that they just dreaded. Me personally, I hadn't planned on sharing this, but I had a really good PE teacher when I was in high school, and even in college I took a couple PE classes we had to. And so I had good experiences, but I could also see where there was times I was like, this is not the most greatest thing in the world. One thing that my PE teacher did in high school is he showed a variety of different things we could do to be active. And I've always drawn from that, instead of just going in and playing basketball every day or something, which I enjoyed doing, we got to learn a whole bunch of different kinds of sports that I'd never played before. We got to do a whole bunch of different things. That's where I learned how to juggle. I mean, there was just a lot of neat things that we got to do. Now, obviously one of the big challenges of this is that we're online. So a lot of the workout portion is not going to be in a classroom setting. I know when we're here at the school, there's a gym that lets us come down and we get to do things in there, and even just being together as a class. So that's one of the challenges, being online. So there's things I do to address that. And then the other challenge is in high school, you're all pretty much the same age. There's pretty much, as far as things you can do in the gym or things that you can kind of adapt to. Where we're at in life, there's just all different kinds of age groups, and just how busy you are, and just different things that presents a challenge. So there's things I do to adapt to that, and I also wanted to explain here on the first video. So to me, this class has always been, it's an hour and 15-minute class. And when we were here, we tried to balance that out, and I try to do this online, where a portion of the class is to actually physical fitness, things to do to help your body and be able to get in a better shape in that way. The other part is learning about things that can help you in diets and different body things that will be beneficial to your body going forward. So I try to half the class in that way. Half of it will be to actually doing things that will be what you would say is active, and the other half is to learning about things that you can always implement into your life. So the reason why I say that is because every day you're going to have an assignment that is what we call the workout portion. Now what's nice is, and I try to really stress this, every body, and I use that word every and then stop and then body, is different, okay? And so depending on what your goals are and depending on what maybe your challenges are, I'm not gonna necessarily say, well, everybody has to run 20 miles or something. That's not, when you hear that, you're like, what? I'm like, I would not go out and run 20 miles. So that's where I say, okay, the workout portion is very, very broad. There's a lot of things that you can choose to do. I mainly ask that you do something active. So that can mean a lot of things. I have and I've learned this from experience, I could go around my house and clean it and do laundry or something and end up like sweating and being like, wow, I really, I stayed active, I was moving around. So that's to me a broad statement to say to be active. So that's where I pretty much accept a lot of things as far as what you consider your workout. You know your body better than I do. You know what you're capable of doing. You know what you are comfortable with doing in that respect. Also, too, at the age groups and different things you've been, hopefully, your doctor, you've got things medicines that you take, different things that you've talked to your doctor about. And that even came up with some of the questions. I asked the question, what are you looking for? That even came up with some, was like, hey, I've got this. That is, you know more about that than I do. So make sure if there's things you're working with your doctor, if there's medicines you take, make sure you talk to your doctor and make sure that you know what is best for you, healthy-wise. So, if your doctor's like, hey, you should not be running, you should not be doing that, then you follow that, not anything, feel like, well, this class tells me I got to do this. So make sure you're following those aspects. Even the videos, some of the videos, workout videos I post that show you different exercises and show you different things will say, this is not saying you have to do this. The disclaimer is make sure you talk to your doctor. So that I want to make sure I stress that. So, as far as your workout, you decide as far as, hey, some people, I worked a job that I did this, and this, so I was very active, or, I walked to work, or I did this, just all I ask is that every day you're going to put on that question, it's going to post every day, what workout did you do? And so you will put, I walked to work, or I did the laundry today and I got up and did some stretches, or some examples I've seen before is I maybe did some of the cardio workouts that I post, or maybe I did some of the stretches that you post, or maybe I did a job where I had to unload hay. I've had that where and I know that's a workout. So, that's what you will put. And then the other thing I ask that you do on that is, what were your heart rates? Now, this is how I want you to check your heart rate. Some people have Fitbits and things, and you're welcome to use that. That's great. Do not feel like you got to go get one. That's not what I'm saying here. You can actually check your own heart rate and come pretty close to what it would be for that. So what you do is, I'm going to take my watch off here. There's two different ways, really easy ways to check your heart rate. And then I want you to check it before you work out, sometime during the day if you're just sitting there, because that's called your resting heart rate. That means not doing any activity, just sitting there, watching TV, or just when you get up. That's called a resting heart rate. And so it's just your heart rate speed before you start exerting yourself. And usually that should be slower, okay? It should be, obviously we know when you get walking and moving, your heart rate goes up, and that's why you just are like out of breath and sweating. And so your resting heart rate should be slower, and it's going to vary. That's what I'm saying. Every body is different. Some people have pretty fast resting heart rates. I've had some, because of medical issues, have really fast ones. Mine's really slow, and so it really depends. And so what you can do is, usually they talk about beats per minute, but you don't have to check your heart rate for a whole minute. You don't have to just sit there and really count, because a lot of times that's hard to do. You lose count, or you may move and miss a beat or something like that. But usually if you check it for about 10 seconds, you can get a pretty good average. So for 10 seconds, there's two spots that are really kind of the best to feel where your heart rate is. One is on your wrist, okay, and it's right here below your palm. And use two fingers because you can feel it better. I would not use your thumb, because your thumb has a strong pulse beat in it, so it can kind of interfere. But you can use these two fingers, and you can put it here on your wrist, and you'll start to feel your heart rate. And so you feel it beating, okay? Another spot that people will use sometimes is under their neck up here. Now this one's kind of harder for me, especially if I'm talking or, if moving a lot. But sometimes right here under your neck, throat area, you can start to feel that heart rate. So whichever works best for you. I use my wrist. And so for about 10 seconds, I'm going to count. And let's just say, just because you can't hear it or see it, let's say I counted 6 beats in that 10 seconds, okay? Or not 6 beats. I was thinking that'd be bad. In that 10 seconds, let's say I caught maybe 12 beats, okay? So, because I used to do this with 5 seconds, but that can be pretty quick. But in 10 seconds, let's say you count 12 beats. And so you're like, okay, there was 12 beats in that 10 seconds. Then, okay, because there was 12 in 10 seconds, there's 10 seconds in a minute. Okay, there's 60 seconds in a minute. So take that 12 and multiply it by 6. Or maybe you had 14 beats, multiply that by 6. Okay, that would be your average heart rate in that minute. Okay, you only have to check for about 10 seconds and then multiply your answer by 6. Okay, so that would be one. So like if I did that and I got 12 seconds, that'd be 72. 72 heart rates or beats per minute. It's pretty good heart rate resting. Like I said, mine's a lot of times slower than that. But, that's a resting heartbeat. I've had some be in the night, it could vary. And you may want to, after you do that, look up, there's so many internet resources that you could type in, what should my heart rate be? And they'll ask you usually for your height, your weight, your gender, like all those things can be a factor in your age. And so when you put all that in, it should tell you, this is the average, and maybe this is why it's higher or lower. So that's what I want you to do is check your heart rate before you work out, and then check your heart rate kind of in the middle of your exercise or right at the end. I mean, when you feel like it's the heaviest, like if you're doing laundry or something, obviously that would be a long time to check it, but maybe like near the end of it or right in the middle, or if you're running, if you want to wait till you're completely done and you stop running and then you check your heart rate, and that should be a lot faster. So maybe it maybe beat, it still use the word beat. I'm having trouble with words today. Maybe 20 times in that 10 seconds. And so you multiply it times 6 and you have 120 heart rate, So just do that for me, and then put that on there. So every day there'll be a question, what exercise did you do today and what were your heart rates? Now, I've changed a little bit over the time of the class because that needs to, where this is a daily class, I ask that you do a 30-minute workout. Okay, try to get at least 30 minutes in. And like I said, it could be a broad range of things that you do. So that could be something basically that you plan out, that you do. And I ask that you do that daily on the class, the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. If you want to do it on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that's up to you. Some, and that's where some health things, you get all different kinds of advice. Some say it's good to take a break a day or two, so maybe on the weekends if you didn't want to. But as far as an attendance and turning that in, I used to kind of do this late, but it got to be where then students were trying to do like 10 things and turn them in. That needs to be done every day. And so that will post every day, and you need to log in and put that in there every day that we have class, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And that usually is about a 10-point assignment that you turn in for that day. And so that will be an everyday assignment. Now, that's not a test score, so it's not necessarily the biggest thing in the world, but you'll want to make sure that you're doing it because, depending on the grade you want and making sure you stay above that passing level, that will be a big portion of the class. The other part of the class, the other 30 minutes I say of the class, which it really should be a 45 minutes, so I give a little cushion there to give you time to make sure you have time to turn it in, is we will be learning things about your body. So, I do exercise videos I post. I do different health videos that I post about different parts of your body, your lungs, your heart, your, blood system, your, bone system, things. And I do a lot. Someone put about food and food choices. I'm glad you put that on your response to my class, and I addressed this in some of my other classes. I did that new this term because I think sometimes students come into class and they have different expectations of where the class is going, and I like to address that, and so I felt like this would be a good way to respond and say, hey, this is what we're going to be kind of learning on, and also hear from the students, see things that they're interested in. But one of the things someone put was about food, and I do a lot of that. I put a lot of videos on, hey, this is the healthiest foods for your lungs. This is the healthiest food for your heart. These are things that are not healthy. So we're going to be doing that. And in fact, one of the first tests that we do, test grades, is putting together a food journal and making sure we're trying to eat healthy. And that really, and I'm going to end with this, is that really is the push of this class. I'm not, like I said, we're all in different stages of our lives, different ages, different things. And so healthy can mean a lot of different things. And really the goal is to just try to do things healthier. So it's not going to be that all of a sudden, hey, I did all this. I'll give you a personal example. There was a year I was teaching at a school, and I just really wanted to lose weight. And I had gotten to a weight that I was like, whoa, out of college. And so I actually lost 100 pounds in that school year. And I mean, it started at first where I was like, oh yeah, this is, because I was losing a lot of weight at the beginning. And then it got harder, and then it got really hard. And then at the end, and my goal was the last day of school, I was going to reach that mark. I had like 2 pounds to go. And I just remember I ran that whole morning, rode the bike. And I reached it, and I was really excited. And so, that's not necessarily, for one, that was a whole year. And even now, since I've read, that maybe is not always the best, like to lose that much in that period of time. But, I was glad I did it. But, sometimes there's things that you're like, hey, to pace it out, to plan it out, is probably, what you want to do. And then two, you could always each day say, hey, what can I do that's healthier today? And so, it's just choices. It's just saying, look, maybe today I didn't do that great, but tomorrow I'm going to do better. And so that's the goal. And so some of these things you're going to be learning about, you can hopefully be like, hey, I learned that. I may not be able to quite do that yet, but I can always, hopefully make plans and start to implement some of those things in my life. So that's the goal of the class, is to make healthy choices, to learn about healthy choices, and be able to benefit from that and learn from that. So going forward now, as far as the learning portion of the class, a lot of times I'm going to be posting these videos and then having you take notes on it. And I know a lot of students are like, oh, not notes. But that really is the best way to remember the material, have a place that you can refer to it, and be able to take the test. Like I said, some of the tests we'll be taking will be based on your notes, based on those videos. And so, to write those things down, you'll be taking notes. You can either type them on the spot, type them in a Google Doc and turn it in that way, or you could take them on a piece of paper, snap a photo, and upload your photo to turn it in, okay? So a lot of times that's going to be your assignment. Usually those will be a little bit more points than the workout, depending on the size of the notes and everything, and so that's going to be your grades of the class, okay? As always, if you have any questions, you can email me. You can find, if you go to the Google Classroom, go to the People section. My name's there as a teacher. You can email me, and make sure if you have any questions that you reach out, okay? Thanks, guys.